the one, the only, Yannis Pappas.
You know what's interesting to me? You guys have such a wide variety audience. Like, you have Trumpers, and you also have, like, really hot girls that go to your shows.
That's Chris. Yeah, I mean, it's just fucking... Chris is guaranteed. The girls just show up to Chris. I don't even know if they're... Yeah, like, they're not... You look at them in the audience at his shows, like, they're not even, like, listening. They're waiting for him to get off stage. They can get a fucking piece of that.
Does he really just slay nonstop?
Huh?
Does he really just slay nonstop?
I've never seen anything like it in my life.
Nobody
The
else?
only thing I've ever seen like that is one other dude. I don't want to put him on blast, but
Actually,
the other guy. But
I met your girl on Bumble, and I saw she followed Chris, and he followed her. I'm like, yeah, she's getting piped down by him.
Yeah.
Probably. I got no shot.
no, I mean the kid. Yeah, he racks him up.
Jesus Christ!
It's like, yeah.
Are we
Like
good?
you've never seen, like you've never seen.
The way he talks in the podcast,
Like
the DMs are.
Have you ever gone to one of his shows?
Chris, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I went to one of his shows before he really started to pop up, probably like right when Guy Code was starting out.
Yeah, go now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like chicks, and yeah. I mean, you know, girls love him, dude. And,
This is a good-looking kid.
Yeah, there was like, where'd they go? They went to Sal's. I think it was
El Volcano.
No, where were they? And like, one comic was telling me there was like 15 girls waiting for him.
Jesus
and he just had to
Christ.
like figure it out. Yeah, I mean, it's almost like too much.
And he's wild. He puts everything on the Instagram. He probably just helps.
He's a kid who struggles all the time figuring out what he can say and what's too personal.
Oh, you guys are as wild.
I mean,
as
we
it
can
gets.
never get too big because there's just too many legal problems that it would present on his side just for saying too many personals. A lot of times when we cackle stuff on the podcast, it's just because he said something that we can get in trouble for saying someone's name.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I want to do an intro because I think we've been rolling this whole time. But
Sorry.
we have Yannis Pappas.
I think it's harder dating if you're not a famous comedian compared to like up and coming. Like,
That's that's true.
like, so many
We do have Yannis Pappas. Sorry, he's just off stage from 2 shows of the History Hyenas podcast, obviously, and Blowing the Light, his YouTube special. Why don't you check that out? Thank you again for doing this, dude.
Thanks.
We
for
just been
having me.
going off about fucking Steel Pipe and the podcast.
You know what I love about your guys' podcast? Your podcast is basically a Stress Factory in New Jersey green room podcast.
Yeah.
You guys grab who's ever here.
How the hell did you know?
Because I've seen a couple clips, and it's always in this room, and it was Schultz and Norman, and
Would
Yeah.
they ever come to my actual basement, do you think? No, that's the whole point.
it depends what you got in the
In New
basement.
Jersey.
Yeah.
Fleshlights, I got one for you. I know you're married.
I mean, if you got Tim Dillon in here, and if you tell him that you got like some amazing steaks, you'll get Tim Dillon in there.
He didn't fall for
Tell
the
Chris
fleshlight.
you got some biddies, you might get him in there.
Well, Chris, you might get.
Yeah.
Chris said yes one time, but we were gonna go down to fucking Uncle Vinny's, and then he bailed. I think he had to, you know. And
Yeah,
you know,
he
I
had
don't
to
know
go
where
pick
he
up
was
the
staying.
baby.
Pick up the baby. Yeah,
He
for
always
sure.
gets out of stuff. But I gotta pick up the baby. The baby's on the roof. I gotta go get her.
I'm not
Baby's
lying.
in Pakistan. Let me go grab her.
I'm not lying when I tell you guys I think the podcast is the funniest thing in history, and especially for people who don't follow comedy or comedians, like just randoms. Like I'm here with my buddy, he doesn't know any comics, doesn't know anything, and he only listens to your podcast.
Wow.
And once you get in sync with the lingo,
Yeah.
it's the funniest thing on earth. And I think fucking, like, I don't know yet,
Thank
like you, Chris, with the cackles, I don't know if you guys get into any trouble, if shit gets flagged or whatever, but I think it's just the way everything is now that when you're getting to a certain level, it doesn't fucking matter. Like Schultz is insane, going at both sides, and I think it's just becoming like a whole mesh of like I see your stuff and you say a comedian's a comedian, so anything I say don't be taken seriously. But guys like Schultz or like Tim Dillon or whatever, and then you guys, the way you talk, because like he said, I don't know if you have Trumpsters, I don't know if you have whatever, I don't know if you guys even sway them one way because people don't really know what your sides are.
They don't know. Yeah.
Which is the
They
best
don't.
part.
Yeah.
I think it can really play with people's
We do
brains.
We got people. We got a lot of Trumpers. Yeah.
I got a handful of friends who are Trumpsters.
Yeah.
Who like your stuff. I see they follow you and stuff, and they
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it.
yeah. I mean, they'll call me a cuck once in a while, but it's all good fun. I mean, they know I lead a little more
Yeah,
than
you will.
Chrissy, you know. So, but,
Chris,
you know, we're both,
you guys, you're definitely like a little bit lower than Chris in terms of wildness.
Yeah.
He'll just
but
say anything.
I lean left.
Oh, for sure.
So I think, but we're both kind of middle of the road kind of kids. But at the end of the day, I think being a comedian, it's just more moral. It's just more in line with what a comedian is, to not take a stance and just try to rip everything apart.
Yeah.
You know, I think for too long, you know, Jon Stewart started a thing that he was so amazing at, He was so amazing at it. He created kind of the genre, and then all this other spin-off stuff. It's like, it's not even. It became like a parody of it. It's like, all right, we get it now. It's like every monologue, everything's coming hard from the left. You're going. It's like you could, a child could write it because it's just you don't see. There's no surprise in it. So everything was coming too hard from the left, and it got a little hacky, got a little played out, as you would expect after Jon Stewart left that show.
I agree. I think like you're obviously doing your characters up there, and you blew up off Maurica probably before YouTube was really even that lucrative.
Yeah, 2011.
2011, yeah, 2011.
It wasn't lucrative at all.
And now I think the way it is now,
I wouldn't have been able to do that now.
Well, it's so oversaturated. It's like you might, you might not would have blown up as quickly. But Maurica has helped your career so much.
It was the biggest thing. I think it was still the biggest thing I've done.
Selling out Miami and New York every single fucking week.
Yeah.
I think you guys, in terms of the podcast, especially the Patreon and the way that the dedicated fan base is in there, is it ever been in your mind? Even like 2+ years ago since you guys started, 2.5 years ago.
Yeah, almost.
Is that your same mindset? Like you think something like Maurica, which was so big before, you really could make a lot of money off of it. Although you did, it definitely helped you.
Made a lot of live money off of it. Yeah.
Is your ideal, is your mindset more so the podcast obviously can help me just as much, if not more, than stand up? Obviously. Yeah. In today's day and age.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a podcast era. Yeah. It's the industry it's all a mirage. Like nobody's watching anything they're doing. It's like everyone's watching like documentaries or like if for anyone to watch your show on TV, it's got to be so incredible. It's got to be like Breaking Bad level where it's like the greatest thing you've ever seen in your entire life, or it's like reality trash. It's like nobody's just watching TV shows anymore. So the internet has been in control for a long time, but I think the industry just did a good job of hiding that fact, of obfuscating that fact so they can keep themselves employed. Yeah. And a lot of us bought into it. That's what I will admit. That's where I made my mistake. Is like I had friends that were doing late night sets and I was like, oh, that's what I need to do. So I took a job in Miami. I took a network job. I did Montreal. I did the half-hour Comedy Central special. I started focusing on that. None of that stuff does anything for you. And when I mean nothing, I mean nothing. Like zero. You do a half-hour Comedy Central special, nothing. I may have gotten one follower, maybe one message from it. Then they own it, and you got paid shit money. When it's all said and done, you're going like, I only made like fucking 10 grand off that. Nobody saw it. They own it. You can't do shit with it. It doesn't get you bigger. It does nothing. But they were running off the fumes of the way things used to be. Yeah. And, comics just, most of us, Schultz doesn't have this because Schultz doesn't care what people think, but comics just have that hole in us where it's like, you tell a comic he's good, you're a good boy, you're funny. And they're like, yeah, am I daddy? Am I daddy that I didn't have? And like, yeah, just come do my thing on my network for 1,000, but you're on a network. We like you. And comics going, yeah. And we have that thing in us where we just want the approval. So a lot of us have been seduced. I think now comics really know. And, give Schultz the credit for really showing that to everyone, being like, hey, look how massive he's gotten. And, Schultz has never done he's never done stand-up on TV.
He's never done stand-up on TV. He never even featured on the road. He just started headlining it.
Yeah. He just started doing his own thing. I did the same thing. I never really featured. I started doing the internet stuff. I was doing the internet stuff early. Yeah. I might have been a little too early, but the mistake I made was I bought into that shit. I was like, oh, I'm doing something wrong. I'm doing videos at home but then when you look back, you're going like the fucking line was around the corner and people loved it. And so I kind of stopped doing the internet stuff with my buddy Jesse. Because it wasn't just Maurice. I was doing Panos, and then we had done. Those were just the things that blew up huge.
Why Sean?
Yeah, why Sean? But other stuff, we were doing tons of stuff.
Why'd you stop initially?
It was because of that. It was because of like I didn't stop. I was just went more towards let me do this job. Let me go work on a TV show. Let me do this industry stuff. So it feels like I'm more in the business when none of that mattered anymore. So that's once I decided to go dedicate full back to the internet. and I sort of was like, oh, that's what's going on.
Super.
I was, I had like 5 failed podcasts before me and Chris started that
You
one,
and Nate.
and it just clicked. Me and Chris, we get along so well, and our comedy just complements each other that it was off to the races. But I was always looking to find a podcast, because I knew without a podcast, it's all, you don't have a career without a podcast. If you don't have a podcast or anything on the internet, it's over. It's not going to happen. You get a pilot anywhere on fucking ABC. It's not going to happen. It's not going to go to air. Nobody's watching. So you need a podcast, or if your grandfather didn't, like fucking Bill Burr's got his fans or whatever, most of which are from the internet anyway. So it's the internet runs shit.
What's that guy's name? Trevor Wallace. I like he did your show, or you did his show.
Yeah, I mean, what open mic scene did he come up with?
That's what I'm saying.
He didn't come up with and then Michael Rappaport's performing here. Stand-up is fucking over. Yeah, Hillary Clinton's going to be here next week. I mean, it's fucking done.
I come from radio, and I said that, and a lot of old school comedians get mad at me when I say that, like, you open micers and stuff, but I don't mean it any harm. I mean, the digital age is new. Like, even what Schultz did, I think he was influenced by hip-hop, like Charlamagne, to be honest, and like Vlad and Academics. And he took that and put it in comedy.
For sure.
And at the right time, too. And what's crazy, he said something to me, and it was interesting. No one watches like Netflix specials and watches the whole thing now, especially if you're a comedian. You're only going to look at those YouTube clips, so like 5-7 minutes, or like your clips on Instagram and stuff. And I always thought that too. Like, as a comedian, are you really watching full specials anymore, or is it like, I'm gonna shout my boy out, I'm not gonna watch the whole special, but I'm gonna watch that YouTube clip?
I think people still are watching full specials, because like Norman and Morel put it up, and they got like millions of views. I think people are still into it. Full special, if it's free, if it's on YouTube, and if the comic's good, I think they'll watch it. But generally, yeah, Schultz is right. There's positive to that, and there's negative to that. The positive is like, if you play the game, put the clips up, as you see with like Norman and Sam Morrell, their numbers just go up from all those stand-up clips. The downside is like anyone can throw up a fucking minute clip, so now everyone's throwing, it's a free-for-all. So. It's saturated, and I think that's hurt stand-up too, is that like, what is a stand-up special now? You go to Netflix, you watch half of them, you're going like, what am I watching? This is just like, anything that increases in quantity is going to decrease in quality. So it's like the floodgates are open. It's a free-for-all right now until the networks get control of the internet, and then it'll be the same thing again. They'll have a couple of like internet networks, and we'll all be fucked.
You kind of see that kind of happening with Spotify, Joe Rogan-ish in a way, how the censorship's happening. As an up-and-coming creator, I find it difficult though to like. I feel like you're always 8 steps behind, because look at Rogan. He's got the powerhouse, the studio, the whole Spotify thing. Then you got Schultz, and there's all these people just creating these networks, like you said, or like having their own studio rooms. Do you think that's like the recent wave going on?
Yeah, it's a recent wave, and it's amazing. It's like, if no comedian should complain right now, this is the best time to be a comedian. I mean, people are like, oh, cancel culture. Cancel culture is great. It makes comedy like a tightrope walk live. So it's great. And this is the greatest time to be a comedian. I mean, we have built our own studio, and we have nobody to answer to. I've had network jobs. They suck. They suck, dude. They're soul crunching. You got to check with censors and legal departments, and you can't say certain stuff. That's fucking soul crunching for a comic. That's not fun. That's not why we become comedians. Become comedians to say wrong things, to not think about what you're saying. So that people are listening and we're able to go uncensored and do our own thing. I mean, it's never going to get better than this. It will never be better than this, and this probably won't last forever. So for these few years, like Tim Dillon says, we're going to stack a lot of money and then get out of the business. And give me a Pokeball.
You said you did a lot of like network shows. I worked in radio. I worked at like Fox Sports, CBS, Sirius XM. And what I realized is when you get fired or you don't do that anymore, the following really doesn't come with you. Like you were saying, it's all about personal branding now more than ever. And I see you guys doing the studio, revamped it, and History Hyenas taken off. And it's like you worked all those sports shows, different shows, and you're like, it really didn't do shit. It was a paycheck.
Zero.
And you have no creative control. And that network isn't as great as you think it is, really.
No. I was a part of a launch of a network, probably the last one. It was probably historic because it was probably the last time a big network like that would be launched with a massive $300 million studio or whatever in Miami. It was called Fusion.
Yeah.
And it was a total flop.
I remember that.
But there was big money behind it. It was Disney, which owns ABC News, and Univision. Univision is massive. So they combined, put their money behind this project that they were going to do for diverse millennials, whatever. And it was an antiquated idea. You could have done it on your phone. Kids don't want. Nobody was watching. We could have made that show that cost whatever. My show probably had $1 million budget or whatever, You could have made it for nothing. Yeah. It's like when me and Chris went and shot the little intro for his Comedy Central special. They had a fucking, makeup, hair, key grips, the art director. You're going like, Schultz could have shot this on his phone.
Yeah.
In 3 takes, and it would look just as good.
Yeah, even the Bay Ridge Boys, like in terms of just fucking creating your own shit, and
we
then like
shot that for free. It looks like TV. There's no difference now.
Yeah.
I mean, the camera that he's holding right now, the picture looks as good as film.
Yeah.
So it's like, and it's been that way.
Yeah.
It's been that way. This is a movie right now.
And the one thing that's so interesting is too, like you said, Schultz,
Hope I don't
academic.
get COVID.
Anyone on YouTube can like make a little less money than a huge network and still be more successful. Like what I mean, like say you make 2 million on YouTube, but the network makes like 20. You're only getting that network's getting 20 million. They're trickling down to give you 2. You know what I mean? It's like fuck them.
And even still, man, I'll be honest with you. Me personally, I would sacrifice money for independence. Not too much. I mean, I want to make some.
Sure.
But it's like, if I'm making good money and I'm independent, I would any day of the week. And I'm not just saying that because I got no offers. But
hey, none of them are getting off.
But you got to be smart now. Nowadays, you don't want to fly too
Rogan,
close
have
to
him
the
on.
sun. Like you don't want to fly because when they come after you is when you get some mainstream shit.
Yeah.
If you're doing your own podcast and you're off doing that shit, you're fine. Shane Gillis was fine till he got SNL. Mm-hmm. Even though the kid, it sounds like it could be bad. But what Chris D'Elia, if he didn't get that role on Netflix, that wouldn't have happened to him.
That's a great point. I never heard that.
It wouldn't. I mean, because he's been doing that shit or whatever, had those issues for years.
Yeah.
But the girl said she saw him on the show.
It's funny Netflix
so it's like,
hired you to
be
play
out
yourself.
of your mind. To, like if you've done anything shady in your entire life, and they come at you and they're like, "Hey, do you want to roll on this show?" You should just say fucking no.
That's how you know Rogan's clean.
And then the fact with like a Schultz or whoever, after you blow up on your own shit, the networks are going to come knocking at your door anyway because they just see the numbers.
And you gotta be
now
careful what you
Schultz is
take.
getting pitched by Netflix because he's getting a gazillion fucking
I'm
Instagram
sure
and
he
YouTube
is,
views.
But you got to be careful. I mean, and then the thing is, you got to be careful too because people don't like it.
Yeah.
When you there was that girl on the internet, and then she went and did a talk show. Do you remember her? It's like Indian girl, South Asian girl. She had a big internet following, and then she got a talk show.
Comedian?
Yeah, and then like it bombed, and her
did she
fans
just-
were pissed about it.
I know who you're talking
So
about. I forget her name.
the fans like the organic, uncensored feel. They like the lo-fi feel. Like it feels genuine. It's different. People are into new shit. It's been done. That it's over. Like we did all this stuff, so now this is new. Like, hey, comedians doing podcasts is a new thing. Being genuine, you follow them like bands almost. Yeah. They know. Some woman the other night she knitted like shoes for my kid, my baby before she was born. Like they know you. Like they listen to you all the time. I remember when me and Chris were standing on the street. One guy came up and like grabbed Chris, and we were both like ready to punch this dude, and he thought he was our friend, and we're like, hey man,
Because you don't know them.
I don't know you. Yeah, but from his perspective, it's like he knows us so well, and he does. But it's just like, hey, don't touch us on the street. Don't ever fucking talk to us. Ever. We don't like you. We just like your money. Go to patreon.com/Bay Ridge Boys. I could care less about any of you individually.
Not to get personal or anything,
Just
you don't have to
kidding.
answer or
I'm
not.
not though.
I was wondering if you and Chris ever like argue over creative stuff or control, and also do you guys like plan your content because you guys have certain days you do stuff like that, and like I'm starting to realize now a lot of comedians are more strategic than they act. Like you guys like act like Norman was saying he's not business savvy and stuff like that, but he's going hard on the YouTube now. He's doing all digital content. Do you guys like have these marketing meetings together, or fight over creative stuff, or is it more like, hey, meet you at Tuesday, let's do this pod, or is it like, you gotta do this, bro, you gotta do this post?
Me and Chris get along so well. We don't ever really fight about anything creative. We just go with the flow, and yeah, we do. We try to strategize. We're not primarily. Marketing guys. It's more of a marketing thing than the business. We're not great at business, but it's not that hard to be good at business. You're just like, hey, we try to make a lot of money and spend not a lot of it. So you hit that principle pretty hard. But the marketing part is something that it's a thing. It's really a thing, and it works. That's why companies spend millions of dollars on doing it. You don't think you're going like, hey, I just watched a commercial. It works. You may not even know. And so marketing is a whole thing, and I think a lot of comics aren't good at that. I would say specifically that's the thing that you got to figure out. how to do.
I think Bert Kreischer's one of the best.
Because look at our name, History Hyenas. That's not a good marketed name, but it was organic. But like, if you were going to start a comedy podcast, you don't want the fucking word history in it.
Also, and you
the
guys,
sociology lions.
and I want to ask you guys this because the podcast, the podcast is History Hyenas.
We're the funniest guys. It's the anthropology foxes.
It's the history of fucking George Washington Carver.
I'm sorry, I cut you off. It's your podcast.
No, what are you nuts? You guys are the History Hyenas podcast, but you're also, but the patrons Bay Ridge Boys, and I know people who know you as the Bay Ridge Boys.
Yeah,
they're like the History Hyenas, yeah, whatever, but they because you guys are about as New York as it gets, and I think
we are pretty New York. It's a little annoying how New York we are.
Oh, let's
get some Pete's. We'd fucking
that's what I get for New Jersey.
I find it
but
hilarious when they have like Ultra on and like
you guys only have
Neil
money
Griffith
enough
Tyson.
for 2 mics.
Like
we actually do.
The Zoom only has 2 tonight. I have another one.
I could share with some. I don't want COVID. Who got interviewed before me?
Norman.
Fuck, I got COVID.
But what's funny is like the guests you have on are like serious scientists or entrepreneurs, and you guys are still funny and keep it real. But there's like genuine gems in there. Like, do you ever have I know it's probably a dumb question, but do you ever find it like you don't want to be too serious? You got to throw some jokes out, or is it just natural? Because there's actually I was listening to some episodes and there's a lot of gems in there.
I give credit to like I tend to sometimes get too serious, and I think Chrissy tends to sometimes be too goofy. So we kind of pull each other back from our extremes, and of course our extremes is what makes us who we are. But people, I think, like the balance. So the comedy, the goofiness and the lightness that comes more from him. You know me, I kind of get on the long days shit.
Yanni Longdays.
Yeah, I get like a little serious about stuff sometimes, and maybe going a little too hard. And, sometimes he gets a little too goofy. So we just kind of balance each other nice. It's a totally organic thing that comedic chemistry is something, comedic chemistry is all I know about. I've never been in a band or anything, but it's organic. I couldn't tell you there's a formula. I couldn't tell you we plan anything. It's just, it's like musical. It's really musical. It just kind of works, and there's no explanation for it. You do it with other people, it just feels a little bit more like work. With me and Chrissy, it just goes, and the thing just takes off. And you guys probably listen to it. It just we take flight, and then we go. We never kind of it just fucking goes.
That's the one compliment people do give. Like, they're not huge comedy fans, but they tend to listen to you and think it's funny.
Well, that's good, because we're a comedy podcast first.
And I think the clips help, too. They get people in there,
Yeah.
Coming up with your own shit that people know you from,
that's totally organic.
Like Wilder, Yanni Longdays, or fucking It's What It Is. Like, I know plenty of people. Like, and then you'll get like us or like other pods who will like be listening to other pods. So like, I'll say It Is What It Is, like out on the street or whatever, and like somebody will be like, "Why did you say that?" I'm like, "It's from a podcast." And then they'll listen and they'll realize, "Oh yeah, they're literally marketing the term It Is What It Is." It's like that comes all into the fact with the rest of the brand. Like it all loops in together.
Right.
I don't want to keep you all night. All I was saying, because you've been in the
keep me all night. Why not?
Well, all right, we'll sleep over. You've been in the game for a while, and
I'm not a young guy.
No, but you're longer than Chris or whatever, and you
I'm
guys
Yanni Longdays.
You're Yanni Longdays, and I just want to know. You just literally just said TV is dead, and you got to have a podcast, you got to have an internet, whatever. But in terms of, and you said it might not last, so just your prediction. The way it is now, where it's like if you don't have a YouTube channel or a podcast, it's just not really very lucrative right now. Do you think can it go further than it already is? Like, we're obvious at the peak height of podcasting. Look at these Spotify deals; it's ridiculous. Like, is it? You just said this is as good as it gets. So, do you think it would ever go back where TV shows would become a thing again, or stand up like more so on the road would become a thing, or is it going to be your stand up crowds are selling out because you have a podcast, you got a huge YouTube channel, and you're becoming a Schultz who, let's be honest, like he's a comedian, but he's kind of becoming his own damn media, and he's beefing with Joe Budden and fucking he's trying to become Rogan. Like, I mean, he's a comedian, but he's his own entity, and you guys and other Tim Dillon, even playing a little bit of the political side. They're kind of trying to get into that world. So we're trying to gauge on the come up if that's what it's going to be like in 5 or 10 years.
Yeah, I think companies will figure out a way to get control of that. Yeah, it will be that, because I think people's are conditioned to it now. You can't. The genie's out of the bottle. So it's like people enjoy listening. People watch us on TV whenever they tag us and stuff. They're watching us on a screen. So it's like it's just it's a new art form. Podcasting, when done well, people love it. They love it in a way. It's not exactly talk radio, because it's so thematic. So it's sort of like a hybrid. And yeah, now it's kind of branched out into watching it, little spin-offs from that brand, like me and Chris do with other shows, Conspiracy Q. It's just a brand. It's just so yeah, that independent producer kind of like, I look at it like it used to be a cruise ship. Like the industry was like a big cruise ship, and you had to get on the cruise ship. And now it's just a bunch of speedboats. And so there's a bunch of speedboats. We're all our own little speedboats speeding around. And eventually people are just going to start buying those speedboats like they are. And they're just going to get control of the landscape. They'll have like companies and they'll be like, come on us for $100 million. And we'll go, okay, $100 million. Yeah, but then we'll sacrifice our independence a little bit. And that's just what's going to happen. Yeah. There'll always be a way to do it uncensored, like probably on your website.
Milk Boys. I don't even know who they are. They're like a uncensored version of content because they don't
I've
get
heard
monetized
about them.
on
Milk,
YouTube.
they're like
huge.
pranksters, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have their own like website, own merch, own stuff they do on the website, and you pay for it. It's kind of like an OnlyFans in a way, right?
And it's their own real estate?
It's their own site. They have like millions of views. The server crashes. It's like all these prankster kids.
Wow. So they do it on their own server.
Matthews, yeah.
Yeah. That's the future.
He knows he's younger than me. He knows. He tells me the game.
Yeah. Gotta be. How old are you?
25.
Yeah. God, fuck. I want to have a convo with you.
Yeah. That's the thing.
What's it going to be?
I was going to say with Trevor, his name Trevor Wallace.
Yeah.
He did your show. Or you
nice
did your show?
dude, man. He's a nice kid.
Never been.
Here Sunday night.
Yeah, but he's just like, that's over. Like coming up through the mic scene.
That's what I thought.
Doing bar show. No, it is over. I can tell you 100% that's over. No, dude, it's going to be around, but it's not like there's not a system anymore where you go like, I came up through the mics, I got past the clubs. If you're getting past the clubs, you're not doing well. Like, what are you doing at a club?
So
you're just sitting at a comedy club trying to do fucking 10 minutes?
So you're saying right now, to open for Norman or go on tour with him, it's more beneficial to blow up on YouTube. Would you rather be a YouTube sensation or go on tour with you?
Am I struggling to sell tickets? Then
No.
I want a YouTube sensation.
Like, you get my point though, like the old school way to, the opener, the hell, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think any comic that's snubbing their nose at YouTube kids just doesn't get it. I mean, it's just another way to be funny. Some of those guys are really funny. Trevor Wallace, he does those videos really well. I mean, stand-up is an art. I mean, stand-up sometimes they hold stand-up in such high esteem. It's like, dude, you're telling jokes, Wait,
I just want to get this in. I just want to say I feel like the Wallaces and the Rappaports want to be cool with the comedians, like the old school style ones, to fit in a little bit. And I think the comedians want, let me get a little YouTube with this too. Let me do a little both. I feel like everyone wants to get in each other's world.
I guess they want to get in our world. Are they
In
really?
respect, you don't want to be labeled as like a YouTuber who hasn't put the time in.
Your time with that fucking. I guess that's when you're younger. You'd respect. I mean, I'm ready. Like I'll sell out big time now. I don't want any respect anymore. I want some money. Yeah. I mean, I am Rappaport. Is he doing? It's more like I think stand up will.
He was also stand up way back in the 80s.
I love this guy.
This is what I'll say. I think you call it a public appearance agent, PA agent, and you do we would be doing stand up, but we would have a PA agent. Now I think it truly is a public appearance. You do stand up, you do podcasts, whatever it is. Your fans are coming out to see you do something, whether it be a podcast, stand up, 2-man thing, whatever you create. It's a public appearance. They know you from the podcast. They love you from the podcast or from your videos or whatever. And they're coming out not knowing what you're going to do. They're there for it, whatever it is.
I also feel like you fuckers, the Schultzes, you guys are doing like, it's almost like you do a podcast, right? You practice on the podcast a little bit, get the comedy going, go on stage, kind of talk about the same stuff that you do on the podcast.
Kind of, yeah.
I see that's going. It's almost like a podcast, really, everything.
Stand-up is changing, man. Yeah, I mean, like, if you watch my special, which is...
Blowing the Light on YouTube.
Love that right there.
Yeah, it's tight. It's jokes.
It's tight as fuck.
It's tight. And that, those jokes. It's worked out. I mean, the pandemic happened. I didn't do too much stand-up, so I don't have that much time. But, tonight I did an hour or whatever, and it was mostly riffing and shit like that. And some of it I was just talking like I talk on the podcast, and you could almost feel the crowd. The crowd's sensibility has just kind of changed because of the internet. They're just kind of like... You don't necessarily have to be as tight as you used to be, I don't think. especially the way New York required you to be.
I could see that.
It used to be you had to be so tight because New York audiences don't give a shit. And they're there and they're going like, make me laugh now, or else I'll go to a Broadway player, go get a slice of pizza or do something else. So they act like they're too good for it. So that's why New York comics are so tight. But, you know, the conditioning's changing. People like to hear you talk.
Yeah.
They like to hear you talk. Yeah, tell stories and shit.
All right. Camera's gonna die. We want to wrap up. Last thing, is New York going to come back to the way it was, or are you without Tucher?
I don't fucking know. I want to ask this kid if he films his family dinners. I mean, this
he
generation
does.
probably films everything. They probably walk around like, "What's up? I just woke up." I mean, it's content, baby. Content.
He's gonna hook it up for you. Did you see the Norman one we did? It's great. He got, like everything. He puts Norman's YouTube up, the special. He's gonna do that with you.
Oh, that's nice.
You the guy? Hit him up.
Thank you.
I'm
gonna fucking steal him from you. Are you
Go
a
ahead.
production guy? You do? Are you a comic?
Nah, he's a production cameraman.
Oh, that's my.
He's better than
a guy
Homeless
who
Pimp.
Doesn't want to be on stage is my favorite.
He's better than Homeless Pimp. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
He loves you. He'll be a producer.
I mean,
I love Chrissy and Yanni.
You're gonna get nabbed up. What's your name?
Chris.
Chris.
Visuals
Yeah.
by Chris Matthews. We're
I'll
giving him all
find
the
you on the
hookups.
gram.
Paul's trying to grab him.
Yeah.
Come
you're
on,
gonna-
we're
Dude,
just
you
gonna-
know what's funny? Seriously, that's a whole new job.
Yeah.
That like is in high demand.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's like if there's not a lot of dudes doing it. No. So right now, I mean, he's valuable. You got to protect him, man.
Yeah, Chris, come on.
I mean, yeah.
Well, when we send you the link of this interview, it's gonna make the interview, well, us at least, funnier and better.
Yeah.
Just shit we don't even fucking know. What do you think? Last thing, do you think we're old as fuck and he's young as shit?
How old are you guys?
What do you think?
32.
Oh, God, I gotta kill myself. 26.
You're 26.
Yeah, you look old.
You are. You look old. I thought you were older. You're only 26.
Yeah, I'm gonna
How
have your
old's
thing.
Rafael
You look.
DeLuca?
I'm gonna have your thing. How you think? How old? Do you know Raph's age? How old do you think Raph is?
Is he 35?
He's about to be 36. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got. I'm gonna
I
have
thought
the
you were-
same problem
maybe-
as you though. You look like you're 33.
Thank you. I thought maybe because you were older, just because of Raf. But now that you say 26 makes sense.
I've only known Raph for like 2 years. We used to work
Yeah.
together, but yeah,
Ah.
he's fucking nuts.
Yeah.
All right, dude. No, Giannis. Honestly, we're probably about to die out.
26 is young. 25 is young.
It's
31's
also
young.
It's also midnight.
No, it's young. 31's young.
It's
Very
midnight
young.
at the Stress Factory Green Room. This is Yannis Pappas, who just crossed 2 shows. He's got the History Hyenas podcast with Chrissy D to Steel Pipe. They're fucking wild, so be prepared, especially whoever you lean left or right. And
Change the name of your podcast to the Stress Factory Green Room
the Stress
Podcast.
Factory Green Room podcast with Yannis Pappas blowing the light.
Flashlight, give it to Giannis. He's married. He probably can't get laid as much anymore. No disrespect to your wife. But shout out to Giannis and Flashlight. Thank you.
What do you do with this? You put it in your ass?
You put your dick in it.
Sponsor.
What is it?
My video guy.
You put your dick in it.
Okay.
Thanks,
You fuck
Giannis.
this thing?
This is Keep It Basement. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much, Giannis.
That's very weird.
So you fuck this thing?